Welcome back to the System Read. I'm Marcus, and today we are diving into a book that I honestly believe is a firmware upgrade for the human brain. We're talking about Indistractable, How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life by Nir Eyal. Sarah, I've been timeboxing my entire week based on this, and I feel like I've finally stopped reacting to the world and started designing it.
Of course you have, Marcus. You and your boxes. I'm Sarah, and while I appreciate Eyal's attempt to give us a roadmap, I can't help but feel like we're being told to bring a toothpick to a gunfight. We're living in an attention economy designed by the world's smartest engineers to break our will. And here we are, talking about internal triggers. It feels a bit like blaming a person for getting wet in a Category 5 hurricane because they didn't pack a better umbrella.
A hurricane? That's a bit dramatic, isn't it? Eyal's core argument, and the one that really shifted my perspective, is that distraction isn't actually about the pings and dings of our smartphones. It's about what's happening inside us. He says that most distraction is an unhealthy escape from uncomfortable internal triggers. We check TikTok or YouTube Shorts not because the algorithm is some dark magic, but because we're bored, lonely, or stressed.
But Marcus, the dark magic is the point. You can't separate the internal trigger from the external bait. Yes, I might reach for my phone because I'm feeling a moment of micro-stress at work. But the reason I stay there for 45 minutes scrolling through an endless feed of AI-generated recipes is because the platform is engineered to exploit my neurobiology. Eyal literally wrote the book on this, Hooked. He taught these companies how to manipulate us, and now he's selling us the antidote? That feels convenient.
It's actually because he knows the hooks so well that he can show us how to unhook ourselves. He's not saying the tech isn't powerful. He's saying that if we don't address the why, the boredom, or the anxiety, we'll just find another distraction. If you take away the smartphone, you'll just stare out the window or reorganize your spice rack. The system is about managing that internal discomfort.
Right, because reorganizing my spices has the same dopamine loop intensity as a personalized TikTok algorithm. Look, I agree that we need self-awareness, but I worry that by focusing so heavily on internal triggers, we're letting big tech off the hook. We're pathologizing the individual's inability to focus instead of criticizing a business model that treats human attention as a resource to be mined like coal.
But Sarah, waiting for big tech to change is a losing game. That's why Eyal's framework is so empowering. He breaks it down. Master internal triggers, make time for traction, hack back external triggers, and prevent distraction with pacts. It's a literal operating system for the mind. For example, traction is any action that moves you toward what you want in life, and distraction is anything that pulls you away. Most people can't even define what they're being distracted from because they don't have a schedule.
And that brings us to timeboxing. I know you love it, but for a lot of people, especially those dealing with ADHD or the unpredictability of the creator economy, a rigid calendar feels like a cage. If I box out deep work from 9 to 11 a.m., but my kid gets sick, or a client has a Slack emergency, or my brain just isn't firing that morning, the system collapses. Then comes the guilt, which is just another internal trigger for more distraction.
But that's the beauty of it. Timeboxing isn't about being a robot, it's about making a pact with your future self. Eyal argues that you can't call something a distraction unless you know what it's distracting you from. If you didn't plan to work, then scrolling through Twitter isn't a distraction, it's just what you're doing. By planning the time, you reclaim the power to say, "This is what I intended to do." It's about values, not just tasks.
Values are great, Marcus, but have you seen a modern workplace lately? The culture of constant availability is a systemic rot. You've got Slack huddles, endless Zoom calls, and urgent emails at 9 p.m. If you try to time box and go dark for 3 hours in a remote work environment, people think you've quit. It's not a personal failure of focus, it's a corporate failure of design.
I'll give you that. Eyal actually spends a good portion of the book talking about the indistractable workplace. He says that workplace distraction is a symptom of a dysfunctional culture. If you can't talk about the problem with your boss, that's the real issue. But even then, we have more agency than we think. Have you tried hacking back your notifications? Most people have their phones set to scream at them every time someone likes a photo. That's a choice.
It's a choice, sure. But it's a choice made against an army of AI assistants and personalized algorithms that know exactly when your willpower is lowest. I'm curious, Marcus, what do you think about the future? With AI becoming more integrated, do you think it's going to help us stay on track? Or is it just going to be a more efficient way to distract us?
Marcus, I'm actually optimistic. I think AI can be the ultimate external trigger filter. Imagine an AI assistant that knows your time box schedule and literally blocks all non-essential communication while you're in traction mode. It could act as a buffer, summarizing the noise so you only see it when you've planned to. It's about using the system to beat the system.
Or it'll be an AI that knows exactly which YouTube short will keep you watching for another 20 minutes because it's analyzed your heart rate via your smartwatch. I worry that we're heading toward a world where focus becomes a luxury good, something only the elite can afford because they can pay for the assistants and the dumb devices, while everyone else is stuck in the dopamine mines.
That's exactly why Eyal's book is so vital. It's democratizing these techniques. You don't need a personal assistant to pre-commit to a task. You don't need a PhD to use an effort pact, like using a site blocker to make it harder to access social media. These are free tools. The indistractable life is a choice to value your time over the convenience of the scroll.
Choose your life. It's a beautiful subtitle, Marcus. It really is. But I can't shake the feeling that Eyal underestimates the sheer gravity of burnout. When you're burnt out, your internal triggers aren't just minor discomforts. They're a gaping void. Telling a burnt-out healthcare worker or a gig economy driver to master their internal triggers feels a bit tone-deaf. It ignores the structural exhaustion that makes distraction the only affordable escape.
That's a fair critique. The book is definitely written from a position of relative professional autonomy. But even in those high-stress jobs, isn't some level of agency better than none? Even if you can only reclaim 10 minutes of intentionality, isn't that the first step toward choosing your life?
Maybe. I think the most valuable part of the book is actually the identity pact. The idea that we should stop saying, "I'm trying to be focused," and start saying, "I am indistractable." Like a vegetarian doesn't try not to eat meat, it's just who they are. If we can shift our identity away from being consumers of content to masters of attention, that might be the only way to survive the next decade of tech.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift. It's about moving from being a distractee, someone who things happen to someone who handles their triggers with a system. Look, I know the attention economy is a monster, but Indistractable gives us the shield and the sword. It's not about being perfect, it's about being indistractable, which Eyal defines as someone who strives to do what they say they will do.
So basically, it's a book about integrity?
Integrity with yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to spend an hour playing with your kids, but you spend half of it checking Slack, you're not just distracted. You're breaking a promise to yourself and your family.
That's a heavy way to put it, but it's effective. It moves the conversation from productivity to presence. I still think we need massive regulation of these tech companies. I still think we need a radical overhaul of workplace culture. But I'll admit. Since I started using some of these pacts, I have regained a few hours of my life back.
See? Even the skeptic is being converted by the system.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Marcus. I'm still using a dumb phone on weekends, and I've deleted Slack from my personal devices. I'm not indistractable yet. I'm just in active rebellion.
Rebellion is a great start. To wrap this up, if you're listening to this and feeling like your attention isn't your own, pick up Eyal's book. It's not just about getting more work done, it's about choosing your life. Whether you're fighting an algorithm or just your own boredom, you need a strategy.
And if the strategy fails, don't beat yourself up. Just remember that there are literal billions of dollars being spent every day to make sure you don't follow Marcus's time box. Be kind to your brain. It's doing its best in a world that wasn't built for it.
Well said, Sarah. Join us next week on The System Read, where we'll be discussing whether Inbox Zero is a path to enlightenment or just a very tidy hallucination.
Sarah, I'm betting on hallucination. See you then.
Stay intentional, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this discussion on the System Read podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe to ensure you don't miss our upcoming deep dives.